What a time to be alive the 1990s were. I mean, I wouldn't really know because I was just a toddler, but living through the early 2000s, I still got to experience a lot of the glory of what was that decade. And one thing that truly screams 90s to me personally is the Crash Bandicoot franchise. Partially because I'm a PlayStation kid, and back then at least, Crash was PlayStation's #1 mascot. But more important than that, Crash Bandicoot was the first game I ever played in my entire life. Receiving a PS1 and Crash Bandicoot Warped when I was 4 years old for Christmas. And after that, I played so many hours of the original trilogy that my mind could not keep up with it. Beating every single game, 1, 2, 3, and even Wrath of Cortex to 100, 106%, whatever the percentage would be. Putting on all of my friends in the process. But there came a point in my life, specifically around 11 or so, when I fell off of the Crash Bandicoot series. And it was around the time where a lot of other kids my age did, like after Wrath of Cortex and that whole 2002 through 2005 era, leading up to Crash Twinsanity. Now, I was never a Crash Twinsanity hater or anything. In fact, I felt the game was a pretty refreshing take on what a Crash Bandicoot game could look like in that era. The balance between new and old was something I could really find myself getting into. However, as a lot of us know, there was a lot of problem with the game. And probably an unconventional place to start, but one of the biggest problems I found, especially back then, was the confusion on how to progress in certain areas. I think on my initial playthrough, I got stuck at the School of Evil and just never picked the game back up again. And what I mean by that is I completed that stage and then started all over again from scratch by accidentally triggering a cutscene, and I was just like, fuck this. Now, normally I could chalk this up to me being a dumb kid, but even now as a slightly less dumb adult, this actually happened to me again, but in a different location. And it was annoying as hell. And that being the case, let's get this right out of the way. This game is rushed as fuck. The game went through development hell, and despite the significant time period between this and the previous mainline game, it did not receive the proper nurture that it deserved. They even referenced this situation in several cutscenes, which I'll give it to the game. The self-aware humor is actually a solid addition to the series and is handled pretty well here. Also, Cortex is actually a semi-likable guy in this game. And keeping up with the things that I did enjoy, the natural evolution. Twinsanity genuinely feels like the proper direction for Crash to go, following the decline in platformers at this time. Sticking to the core fundamentals of what made him a titan, yet advancing him so he doesn't fall behind in the ever-changing landscape of gaming. Crash maintains his core moveset along with 2 new characters entering the fray, being Cortex and Nina Cortex, his daughter, niece? This marks the first time you can utilize a different character aside from Coco in a mainline Crash title, albeit only being able to use Cortex in the later half and Nina very briefly throughout the game. And that being the case, I'm sure they had a lot more plans for them initially. Maintaining its core fundamentals, Crash completes stages, earns crystals and gems throughout the game, but in a different enough way to make this one stand out among the rest. The levels will not be straight hallway style like the previous game. Instead, allowing you to explore a bit and collect gems in an unconventional way by completing little challenges or going a bit out of your way to find them, similar to Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time style. I found this fun and it felt super rewarding to find these. However, I much prefer the classic break all the boxes style of gem collection. And now, getting into the really good shit. My favorite stages. Everyone who knows Crash knows the Bandicoot is beloved for his insanely creative levels. However, after this portion of the game is where it starts to go a bit downhill for me. And that being said, this is definitely a segment I plan on continuing if I do decide to continue the review series of Crash Bandicoot himself. And although this entry is a bit different from the previous, being that it doesn't have a warp room or a map with specific levels, there still are segments within the game that make up what we'll consider the levels of this entry. Of course, a standout to me, and many others, are the 2 levels where Crash uses Cortex as a fucking snowboard. This is legendary for numerous reasons. 1 being that it's fun as all hell, 2 being it's something entirely new for Crash, and 3, well, the whole situation and Cortex's dialogue throughout is funny as fuck. Another great one in my eyes is Hijinks High Seas, referring to the entirety of the game between Engine's reintroduction through escaping the clutches of Rusty Walrus. While the Engine boss fight itself is, well, mid. The Rusty chase sequence is fun as it is challenging, and navigating through Engine's ship is a treasure of its own, and something I was really anticipating replaying throughout this playthrough. The Academy of Evil also needs a mention here, as while it's not my favorite area to play through, the design is so dope. It's really unique for a Crash game, and I also really liked how there was so much lore behind its existence, kind of giving me the vibe that up till this point everything was still going according to plan, and then after this stage was when everything after that was scrapped and or really rushed. The plotline here is also drastically more at the forefront than the previous entries. Now, you don't necessarily need to follow it, but there are plenty of cutscenes and explanations for what's going on, in comparison at least to previous games where it's simply Cortex trying to dominate the world, or whatever his plan is this time. This, in my opinion, can be both looked at in good and bad lighting. I mean, I do enjoy them trying to expand the Crash lore, but a Crash game doesn't really require a serious story by any stretch of the margin. Just throw me in a stage with some boxes and I'm having a grand time. Plus, the story here has a lot of unskippable cutscenes, and they can be a real drag. Back to the positive, I did find the boss stages to be some of the most fun in any Crash title. While the likes of Engine and even Uka Uka aren't much to write home about, Mecha Bandicoot, the Tiki Totem guy, and especially Dingo Dial were so fucking fun. Dude, this might be the best boss in any Crash game in my eyes. Now, it's reminiscent of his Crash 3 boss, but with the opposite element in play this time. Dipping and dodging around fire blasts and flamethrowers and spinning him out of control. It's also like the perfect amount of challenge too. Better than the final boss, I think. Cortex's old pets that he sent to the 10th dimension, which is basically just the opposite of the gameplay we've done so far. Like, literally it's like inverted. In this boss, you switch between Nina, Cortex, and then Mecha Bandicoot? I mean, what? You only played as Nina once before this. In Cortex, a small handful of times, but Crash Bandicoot is replaced by Mecha Bandicoot. Like, how do you end a Crash game without having to use any of Crash's signature moves? It just did not feel right. But all in all, did I enjoy my playthrough of this game? Yeah, I really did. Although having its flaws and definitely tons of issues, this game is so much fun. I mean, maybe it wouldn't be if I wasn't a huge Crash fan, but it was great to see Crash in a new genre. At least one that wasn't so far removed from its natural habitat like Crash of the Titans or Mind Over Mutant were. Sure, this game didn't sell exceptionally well, but the decision to take the route they did with the next couple of games just completely baffles me. If they had tuned up and refined this game, put a little more time into it, and didn't rush it out for the sake of meeting the holiday season, well, one, it probably would have been tons better, and two, it would have sold better and gotten a sequel, which probably would have improved upon every single thing about it. And three, we may have had the best Crash game of all time, because this really did have the potential to be the best Crash game ever. You can literally feel the wasted potential while playing through it. But that being said, the fact that it's missing so much content, has a plethora of glitches, and just downright feels completely unfinished, but it's still a ton of fun, says a lot about how this game would have been if it got the love and care that it needed. But still, even though I had a blast playing this, given that it has all of these flaws, I don't think I could rate it higher than maybe a 7.6 out of 10. But I do love this game, and if this does well, then I will definitely be reviewing another Crash game very soon on this channel. But hey, if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to show me by liking the video, commenting below on what you thought of the video, what your favorite Crash game is, and what you thought of Crash Twinsanity if you have played it before. And as always, make sure to subscribe on the road to 3K. If you want to become a member, you can always do that. Get that member badge and the video a little early than everybody else, but you don't have to do that. Just Thank you for the support. Appreciate you all, and until next time, peace.